As a council member, you're a protector of the town's money. Is debt an issue for the town? And what do you consider when determining whether or not a major expenditure, any expenditure, will or will not benefit the town? When is it worth taking on some debt? Actually, you've got the, Jeff?
So debt, I hate debt. I think everybody in this room hates debt. And yet, for some of us that are small business owners, we recognize that there are times where you take on debt. For instance, you might be a landscaper and you might be just mowing a few contracts today and all of a sudden have an opportunity to get a much larger contract. If you don't have the cash flow currently, you may in fact go out and buy 10 lawnmowers to provide for that new contract. So one of the things that I do is just like a business owner would do, is I look at what are the costs to carry that debt, and is there a reasonable return on investment in a reasonable amount of time. Now that's different for every occasion, so I can't sit here and say if it pays itself off within 3 years, I would vote in favor of it, or if it pays itself off in 5 years, I would vote in favor of it. Again, it's issue dependent, and you need to look at each deal independently of another. But I don't like taking on debt, but I recognize that sometimes money is so inexpensive and construction costs on something might be rising that it makes sense to do it. And if that is going to net a lower cost overall to the taxpayer in the long run, then I would be willing to look at that.
Okay, anybody else like to comment? Mr. Benning.
Thank you. Following on what Councilmember Brown said, it's just really important to understand that there are some things that you just cannot pay as you go. If you're going to build a freeway, for example, that's a $30 million per lane mile expenditure. If you're going to build roads to solve traffic problems in your community, or a park, or a fire station, or any other major investment in infrastructure, water department, there are times when this council has taken on debt. I'll give you a really good example. A couple of years ago, the H2O water company out east of us that served part of Santan Valley became available for sale. That water company happens to be built almost exactly the same materials, sizes, well types as what the Queen Creek Water Company uses. So there's a great deal of connection between those two. If we could purchase that, and we paid extremely low interest rates to purchase that utility and increase the capacity, the water capacity of our community, that was a good deal. Today, the fees that are collected from people who used to be in H2O, who are now in Queen Creek, are paying a profit to the utility, to the town. So there are opportunities to borrow money where you can actually make money for a community. What do we do with that money? Well, we pay the debt down faster so that our taxpayers aren't on the hook for it. Or we use it to, we can't move that money between different departments. Each division or department within the organization is a separate standalone. But what we can do is we can use it, time's up, sorry.
Okay, Craig, do you want to say something?
I would like to add on to both of these gentlemen because they're right on. But it's very important for growth to pay for growth, because we have to take on debt to pay for roads. And since I've been on the council, we've done over $100 million worth of road improvements. We have another $265 million that we're going to do by the year 2026. So we're going to have to take on debt in order to do that. Now, as the people move into Queen Creek, they need to pay their portion of those roads and not us keep paying it, because growth needs to pay for growth.
Anybody else? Okay, Matt, you raise your hand
Sorry,
first.
thank you.
Oh, ladies first.
And I think what our current council members are saying is exactly right on, and there's a difference between just incurring debt and investing in your community too. So I think it's not just a matter of just classifying it as debt, but what is it being used for? What's the benefit for the town? We all enjoy a really high quality of living here. So I think what they're saying now is exactly right to that. It's not just debt. You can't just eagle it like that.
Yeah?
Yeah, and I think this is a topic that sometimes it gets a lot really technical, and I think sometimes we distill it down a lot easier. We know that the town will have needs, and we also know rates are historically low. There's so low, in fact, that some countries are going negative on their interest rates. So we have to, at times we have to strike while the iron's hot, and to distill that down to a lower level. Interest rates, if you were buying a home that you know you need, and you want to be there, and interest rates were rock bottom, and you know you could get it then, sometimes the time to act is and incur that debt. We don't have a crystal ball, but rates are so low now. In fact, the town is about to do an arbitrage where they reduce some of the debt at one rate and move it down to another to save the town over $1 million. And it's just a wonderful thing that we've been blessed with these rates, not just for the town to help improve its financial position, which is good, credit to the current council. We have about a 7% debt load, which is pretty low, considering it's going to go down and get in a better position when we do that. And just like any of us would, if we were at 8% or 10% on our home and we could go to 3%, we would do it. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
Sure, I'll just hit real quick. There is a necessary place for debt. I mean, we know that, right? Just like in our own personal budgets and our own small business budgets, there's absolutely a necessary place for debt. It should be critical infrastructure, and it should be focused exclusively on critical infrastructure. We should not be investing in ancillary one-offs and things like that and leveraging debt for that. But I think the most important factor with debt is we should be optimizing our general fund, our operational budget, meaning the cash that comes in. We should be optimizing that budget and not spending it on junk that doesn't need to get spent on, so that we're only leveraging the least amount of debt possible to pay for that.
Okay, Todd?
I think, there's a lot of times when debt is good. We can get debt and, take on that liability, but it helps build the asset. Spend a little money, give money, and like they were saying with the business. And there's times for that. But there's also times when you need to back off and watch what you're doing. We need to be careful where we go into debt, when we go into debt, because who knows when another recession is going to happen, when we're going to get stuck and have layoffs in the town again, have to cut back on all those things that we're putting in because it's a luxury now and we can do it. We need to be careful and make sure what we're spending on, we're going to be able to cover in the future and not have to worry about going into debt, or that it's going to help us in the future to bring in more money to the town to make sure we can cover it.
Okay, thank you. We're starting to get a little bit late, so I'm going to ask maybe just about 2 more questions, and then we'll go to your closing statements. The community of Santan Valley,